we're trained to be me. When you all stood up, right, what did you look like? You looked like a little I, not a T. You weren't using the power of T, you were using an I. You were selfish, right? And so naturally, I want to optimize for me, but the best results come when we optimize for both and we share, right? So we grow the pie, share the pie. So I just picked on some negotiation books. This is one, Start with No, right? And I hope no one in here starts with no when you're working on a strategic relationship. This is what I call the value extraction approach. I want to take money out of your pocket and put it into mine. Cost savings, look at the bid structures that we do. It's all about comparing apples to apples to apples and who can give me the best price. And I like to think about this as having an orange, right? So in Fisher and Urey's book, Getting to Yes, they talk about the orange. And here, we're just fighting over the orange, right? And I put, the buyer over here, the supplier over here, and we're playing tug-of-war. We're using our power to help us, and we're extracting value instead of creating value. Now, a step up from that is Fisher and Urey's amazing best-selling book. I mean, I read this in 1993 when I was in college, Getting to Yes. Many of y'all probably read this as well. And I think it's really good, but it's incomplete. It's kind of what Nash said. It's incomplete. Because you negotiate an agreement without giving in, and this is really great. So take that orange, which Fisher and Urey talk about, and a win-win is when you get the pulp and I get the peel. But here's where this falls short. We still only have one orange. We exchanged value in a very good way, but we didn't create value. So while we took that tension out of our relationship, by the way, that tension in economic terms is called transaction cost economics. There's a cost to the tension in our relationships of rework, and the lack of trust that we have actually costs us money. So I would submit, not only because the research says it, but because real companies who choose to create value are getting to we. They're leaning into these partnerships, not just saying a strategic partnership or a valued employee, but they're co-creating and creating value. And when I do that, think about this. I put the power of my employee and the power of the employer on the same side of the rope. So here we're pulling together, and we put our objectives, our goals, the value we want to create. And so it exponentially lets us use our power, and that lets us plant an orange tree. Instead of still having one orange, now we're planting over the long term. Let's look at how we invest to get a return on investment. And I get really sad when I look at this industry sometimes, especially with regards to our labor, our most trusted employees. And we had the West Coast port strikes, and now they're back. And then we had the UPS Teamsters, and now we have the United Auto Workers. So we say our employees are the most valuable, and then we sit across the table trying to negotiate and extract value. And that's an obvious place where we see misalignment in the news. But most of you, I would argue, have misalignment every day in your organizations. Think about your buyer-supplier relationships and how you negotiate with them. I sat through Dr. Langley's amazing study. I've been tracking it for years. And it says, gosh, we need to have these more longer-term relationships. Right? Someone's got to invest in all this great technology. And I turn around and I study contracts, and that isn't what's happening. Your contracts say, I've got a 60-day termination for convenience. I know you're a strategic supplier, you're amazing. And here I've negotiated a termination for convenience. We need you to invest. But it's all about price for the transaction. How much is your per pallet, per shipment, your per unit, your per mile? And as Dr. Langley pointed out, we aren't enabling the suppliers enough profit to make the investments in some of these amazing technologies that you want and so need. But it's functional silo to functional silo. Operations says, let's go and do these amazing things. And then I have procurement that turns around and says, well, I know you've got this trusted supplier, but our policy says every 2 years we have to bid them out. We don't trust them. We have to test the market, right? Or the contract, the lawyers, the actual clauses don't add up. So I think of the buyers as having a three-headed monster: procurement, operations, and legal. They're not aligned. Do you ever feel that? Like within your own company you have a three-headed monster? And of course we have bosses and employees. So misalignment is rampant in organizations, and that's costing you money because you're not getting to we. You're not working together as much to optimize. So we know optimization. This industry is famous for it, right? Some of the awards. We know we need to optimize. Let's slow down and use 5 simple steps that can help us truly co-create.